So here's my items that I've had from last year or the following years and things like that. What are the items in here that I really love? Because I tell you what, get sucked into going to the stores and buying all the new things. And they're like,
Mhm.
this is so cute. I love that. And whatever. And like, you haven't even looked at what you have. Like, you don't even like open up the
Yeah.
box.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a
Hi, Melina. Nice to see you again.
Hello, hello. So nice to see you too.
And you look lovely. I like your blouse.
Oh, thank you. I'm trying. It's no almost November here, so I'm trying to bring in like the fall vibes.
Yeah, I love the fall. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we've already chatted a bit and I really love the work that you do. And I'm so excited for you to explain a little bit about your background and what you do to the audience.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I just love that I get to be here with you and support your community of moms. So I'm actually a mom myself. I'm a boy mom. I've got two boys, Jackson and Landon, who are 10 and 7. And I live here in Austin, Texas with my husband and our dog Scout, who is like our third child. So I'm a professional organizer and certified life coach here in Austin. And I mean, what that kind of boils down to is I just help women, especially have a tender spot for moms, to organize their homes and help simplify their lives just so they can really pour their energy into things that matter more to them. Because most people don't just really love organizing things and tidying up like I do. They'd rather be doing something else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Like I've always been like I was so like not privy to the concept of a professional organizer until I just saw one on Instagram and I said, "Wow, that's
Mm.
so genius," because some people are just naturally good at it, like yourself. I'm so jealous of people who just naturally have that. Like I'm sure you know this and you like tell this to your clients, like your surrounding, how does it like impact your what's going on mentally?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I have a little advantage because I'm a natural, like a little bit of a type A personality. So there's that. It's just I was kind of born with that. But I like to explain to people like I have a little bit of the bridge where I bring the two worlds together, like that type A with the organizing, and then the life coaching side comes into play because of like the empathy and compassion piece, which is really important, especially when I work with moms, because we can just be really hard on ourselves. And when I'm able to go into spaces or see them virtually, one or the other, my brain just has this ability to like put puzzle pieces together. I can just naturally see like here, like just ask them some questions of like, how do you use this space? How do you want it to support you? How would you ideally like it to serve you? Or how would you ideally like it to look? And then it's funny. It's just like my brain is just able to like see this space and be like, okay, let's move this around here. Let's shift this here. I bet these containers would be really supportive for you. So it's actually really fun. That sounds, I know, so odd. Probably so many people, it's not like their strength, but it's really fun for me because again, like I get to come in and pour into people and into their homes. And I mean, our homes are so crucial, like in everything that we do. And so it's if you feel at ease in your home, like that's such a gift for
Yeah,
you, for your family.
definitely. And how did you get started in this? Did you always know that you wanted to be a professional organizer, or where did you get your start?
Oh my goodness, no, like not even close. So what really kind of, I guess, kind of teed it up as far as like my path coming here. So about almost 8 years ago now, I left my corporate job. I was working for a national home builder in their purchasing department. So numbers and estimating all that kind of stuff in home building. And I decided to stay home with our second son. I had actually suffered from severe postpartum depression and anxiety with our first son. And so I saw those same kind of emotions and feelings and symptoms coming up with our second. And so I had a conversation with my husband, and I know it's very privileged and I'm very fortunate, but like we had a conversation that I decided to stay home just so that it wouldn't take me another 2 years to dig out of that hole. So it's very different when you're a working mom full time, like in an office, than you stay at home full time. And then you see like all your four walls all day long. And the rinse and repeat cycle starts to get a little boring and a little like taps your sanity. So, during that season of figuring out and settling into like, what is it like to be a stay-at-home mom? I found minimalism, which is that definition can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. But for me, what it meant was really kind of grounding down into the values that are important to me and to our family so that I can release all the things that aren't really that important to me. So that really helps me create a foundation in our home as far as like, how do I want to move through our day and set up our home to serve us day to day than versus me being a slave to all of our stuff and to all the to-do lists and things like that. So that's kind of how it originated. And I actually decided to step back into working in some capacity a few years ago, and I got certified as a life coach. And I loved it because it called to that heart piece of me. And just kind of in that evolution of figuring out like how would I serve women and moms, it this organizing side of me kind of came into play of like thinking it back when I was first a mom, like in those early years, like what did I need? And I would have loved to find somebody who kind of bridged and paired both of these side of things where it's like, here's the practical side of how to do like how to really set up your day to day in your
Yeah.
home and systems to serve you. And then also that emotional heart piece as well, just to be able to like hold you gently when sometimes we're not the kindest to ourselves and don't give ourselves a lot of grace and kind of working through those emotions and those thoughts and things like that. So that's how it all kind of started. But no, I had no dreams, desires to start my own business per se. It just kind of the path wound its way here and I love it. It's amazing. And I still get to spend time with my family too. So I get to serve and still make sure that I have enough time with my family.
Wow, I love it. And yeah, that's kind of, I feel like that's something in common that a lot of us mompreneurs have. We're kind of like accidental business owners because we're like, my story is similar to yours. I was so like happy that my husband was so supportive. He was like, yeah, stay at home, be home with our child. And that's what felt good for me at the time because I just didn't feel ready after 3 months when my maternity leave ended. But then I still did like, I'm still ambitious and I wanted to do something. And so I was like, okay, like I'm a dietitian. I can do this, from home as well. That's what we did during COVID. So, but something else that came up when you were talking was how the life coaching. And I think that's such a beautiful marriage, the life coaching and the professional organizing, because I find that people tend to open up more easily when you have a medium like that, like cooking therapy, art therapy, or professional organizing, coaching. Whether like if somebody's just sitting in front of a therapist, sometimes it'll take longer for them to open up. But if you're doing something at the same time, or you like kind of distracted, like you're thinking that you're achieving one goal and you end up discovering other things. Is that something that you experience as well that comes up during your practice?
It does. I mean, first there needs to be that trust there. And whenever I work with anyone, it's always like there's a zero judgment, complete zero judgment, because I mean, my home does not look perfect all the time. And I would never expect somebody else's home to look perfect. Otherwise, why would you need me? So that's like the first part, and just holding space gently for everyone. And it's interesting because in one sense, there's a little bit of detachment when it comes to people's stuff initially. Like, right, they're like, this stuff is messy and things like that. But then there's usually stories.
Mm.
So the coaching comes into play because they train you to be very curious. It always comes a place of curiosity and not judgment or wanting to, tell you what you should be doing or not doing. So that I think builds a lot of trust with people when they're wanting to talk about their stuff. You know, almost always like they hold up something like, here, there's a story here, or like, here's why I'm keeping this, or here's why it's hard to throw away, or things like that. I'm like, that's great. Like, tell me more about that. Like, what does it mean to you? How is it serving you to keep it? or how could it serve you to release it? So it's really cool because I just get to ask a lot of questions and be curious about it, and let them also kind of come to some conclusions as well on their own, which a lot of times they do. And sometimes people just need some permission. That's really like what a lot of us need, are just permission of like they have that guilt of letting go of something because it costs too much, or or whatever it is, right? Like XYZ fill in the blank. And it's like they just need some permission to be like, it's okay to let that go. Like you've learned a lesson in purchasing that. Or if you have more space in your closet because you release some of these items, that means that next time that you do go shopping, you can look for like that one item that you're like, I know I need this. And it just frees up a lot of mental space for them too. A lot of like heart, that guilt, shame, heart piece too. So, yes, people have a lot more, I guess, just ability to open up when it comes to their stuff, especially when you're in their home. When I'm with like my
Yeah,
in-person
that's what I
people.
was just thinking about because I didn't think about how intimate that is. Like, I think my job is intimate because I'm talking about like their food and also trauma and, just
Mhm.
cultures and a lot of things come up from, childhood that cause their emotional eating, but you're in someone's living space, like their current living space. And I can see how some people may have a little bit of like maybe shame or guilt the way
Mhm.
they're living. And yeah, and they really have to trust you and yeah,
Mhm.
once you like see that and you make them feel safe and that you're not judging them, I could see how it is easier for them to like relax and allow you to come in and do your
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, totally. There's not a lot of professions where you're going through people's like underwear
Right.
and things like that. And personal things.
Yeah,
So,
that's super
they just
intimate.
really open up at that point. So it's really like, yes, you're either going to need to be open, or we start in a place where it doesn't feel so like vulnerable, right? Like bathrooms or kitchens and things like that usually aren't a very vulnerable place. It depends on the person. Um or a playroom and things like that. So yeah, it's meeting them where they are. And usually they warm up pretty quickly. I people tell me like I have a very calm presence.
Yeah, you do.
So it's there's not a whole lot of, I help kind of bring them down, I guess is what it comes down to. Like I help kind of ground them and calm them down. So if they're feeling any kind of anxiety about it, it's like just very mellow. We're just going at your pace. I'm not going to make you do anything you don't have to. You don't have to put anything away if you don't want to, but I'm just going to encourage you to really think about it, right? And make choices that really are supportive for you.
Wow, that's great. And I feel like now, we mentioned the fall and the holiday season is coming up. And this is usually when people, they're going to be hosting more or it's just like a feeling of change. People want to decorate for the holidays and maybe out with the old, in with the new. So for the mamas out there, what advice could you give us to, you know, get rid of like the old and in with the new, like kind of release and just make our space more, I don't know, clean for the new season
Yeah.
coming?
Yeah. So where I usually start with people in their homes is really like setting the intention. And so I would actually encourage your community to think about like, what is your intention for this season? So before you kind of get to the stuff piece, like really think about like, how do you want the season to feel for you? How do you want your home to feel when guests come over? Um, what would feel supportive for you? And that could even go down to like, so you think about setting the intention, like that's like the groundwork, that's the foundation piece. Because a lot of times we get swept away by like the Pinterest looking homes here in the States and like, go look this way. And we've got to like cram our schedule with things. And it's like, first set the intention of what's going to feel life giving to you and not life draining. Because I feel like as moms, like we'll sprint through this season. And then come January, we are just like flat on the floor, like face down, like just a puddle. Um, so I would start there first and then really think about like, okay, based on how I want the season to feel, how I want my home to feel and what's important to me, then kind of connect some dots of like, okay, if that's how I want it to be, like, what are some choices that I can make today to help support that vision? So if you want to talk about like specifically like things in the home, like decorating, you can literally like look at your space and kind of be like, all right, so what are bring up like your decor items. Like, okay, so here's my items that I've had from last year or the following years and things like that. What are the items in here that I really love? Because I tell you what, we get sucked into going to the stores and buying all the new things. And they're like,
Mhm.
this is so cute. I love that. And whatever. And like, you haven't even looked at what you have. Like, you don't even like open up the
Yeah.
box.
People
You're
sometimes have
like,
stuff from like seasons ago that they didn't use and then they buy more, but then
totally. You have no idea what you have. So first, I'd say that's the first step when it comes to decor. Look at what you currently have and go through and be like, what is broken? What's something that I just don't love anymore? Like I haven't even used it in like 3 or 4 seasons. Like go ahead and release or donate those items. And then think about, and this might be a little hard for some people, but really think about like, okay, here's what I have left, and here's where I would place them. And if you can, go ahead and put those items out so you know exactly where they're going to go, and then make a list before you go to any stores. Then make a list and be like, okay, here's where the gaps are in my home. Here are the things like I wish I had an extra throw pillow for this couch. Or I need an extra like mantle centerpiece over here. Or gosh, those Christmas lights are so burned out. I need a whole other set. So that way you're doing intentional shopping and not like add to cart, like impulse shopping. And then you get home and you're like, oh, I already had that. Like I didn't, I just didn't realize I had it. Here's another one. Cool. So I think that would save you a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of energy. Um, and again, like you're having intentional shopping, and that
right.
way you're not going over budget. And you could save that money for something else.
Yeah, I love that. And especially how you started out thinking about your values and how do you want to feel when you come in your house and how do you want the guests to feel. Like, I like being so intentional where you think, like, before you even start buying or getting rid of, think about that first. And then you do everything else with intention.
Yes, yes, that's really the key. 'Cause then that takes away the pressure of like external expectations. It really goes down to like what is important to you and your family. And that's where you work from, not like what's important to those Instagram influencers, right? Or like, Sally and Joe down the street. Like what's really like important for our home and our family. And maybe it's like really simple decor. I love it. Like simpler the better, because then that means there's less that you have to take down down the road.
Right.
Or even think about like items that are like you don't even have to really purchase things. Like think of like scents. Like I love including like the five senses when it comes to any kind of seasonal stuff, like whether it's the spring or fall or winter. Like getting like just one really like yummy smelling candle, or using aromatherapy, or
Mm.
like lighting the fire at night, or just getting out your like fuzzy cozy blankets. Um, Really like, or putting on like a lovely like playlist. Like Spotify has so many like fun playlists for seasonal
I
music.
love that, getting the senses involved. It like, yeah, using something as just simple as lighting a candle, or like you said, having a cozy throw somewhere and some chill music that can
Mhm.
already put guests and you like in a certain mood. I love that. And it's simple and things that anybody can do.
Yes. And it doesn't really cost a lot of money. And it's
Right.
not something that you have to store, right? There's nothing else that you have to like put back and things like that. It's like everyday items. And it just feels cozy. Like it's like that's why they have like the fireplace on the TV here in the States. Like it's just you can't feel the warmth, but it just looks cozy, right? So anything you can do to just kind of bring that coziness in. I think that's like just that's so fun and so easy.
Wow, awesome. And you mentioned that you have some guide out. Could you talk about that?
Yes, yes, yes. I would love to gift your community that. So I actually have a guide that kind of helps walk you through when you're looking at your like at the holiday season of like just being very intentional with like it'll ask you some questions, and it'll also have a calendar for October, November, December for you to kind of map out what your season looks like, because so many times we fill our calendar and we say yes to things without actually visually seeing like how full our weeks are and our days are. And that's also what lends so much to the burnout that comes at the end of the holiday season. Like I'm the same way. Like you get so excited to say yes to everything, but I mean, we do need a little bit of rest. Like that's also part of the season here. is kind of that like going inward a little bit and kind of grounding yourself and kind of going with the season, right? Things are burrowing, they're hibernating. So you also need to like balance all that fun time with like a
Yeah.
little bit of like relaxing, sweet time by the fire or like watching some movies, like having some cocoa, like those kind of things. So I think the guide is great because it'll help walk you through like setting your intention for this season, what's important to you, and then kind of planning that out in a really easy way so it doesn't feel overwhelming.
Exactly. That's as soon as you said that, that's what I said. I was thinking in my mind because I feel like overwhelm is something that a lot of moms experience during the holiday season. And I like, the fact that you're like, let's tone it back a bit. Let's be intentional about having some times of connection and relaxation so it doesn't have to be so overwhelming. And then you go into the, new civil year, the new year, just much more like, not so burnt out and like needing to recover, but you're like recharged instead. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I feel like so many of us don't enter the new year recharged. We like enter like we're dragging ourselves over the finish line kind of thing. Like we survived. We survived the holidays kind of thing. And I know like moms, like really the heart is really they really just want to enjoy it and have connection and and kind of feel more of that magic too. Like they do so much to create that magic for others and their family and their kids. Like, I want them to get a piece of that back just because they deserve it. We deserve to like have that connection and that relaxation time and that magic time too.
Yeah. Speaking of moms deserving some relaxation, I always like to ask my guests about their self-care, like ritual routine. It doesn't have to be anything grandiose. I wish, I wish, but do you have any self-care practice, something that you do to like recharge or replenish yourself?
Yes. So there's one that I do like almost every day, and that's just taking our dog for a walk.
Mm.
I I've been doing it a little bit more in the mornings now, but I really like kind of the evening time right around sunset. Like I just love that time of day because it's like everyone's just kind of taking a big like deep breath and like released it for the day. And so it's just a calmer part of the evening. I've also gotten back into taking baths again. It's starting to get just a hint cooler here in Texas. And so it's like
You're like,
just
we're the
barely.
bath bombs, the
Just barely.
essential oils.
Exactly. But it feels very indulgent,
Yeah,
and it's just a bath. But I'm like, this feels luxurious to me that I am
right.
taking time out of my evening to like really set myself the bath and like light a candle and things like that. And so yes, I think it's really easy for me or for moms in general just to like overlook the really simple things that just feel so life-giving. But yes, those are my two favorites right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you have two sons and you have a business. And do you have any advice for moms out there who are also trying to navigate or even thinking about starting their own business and they think they can't because they have children? What advice
Mm,
would you give? What would you want to hear when you started out?
mm. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna be very like it is hard. Like
Yeah.
there's I've talked to other mompreneurs and here's two pieces of encouragement. One is if you are a mom, most of the time there's a mirror that's being held up and you are seeing all of the good, bad, and ugly of yourself as you were parenting your children, right? We usually learn so much about ourselves as we go through this journey of being a parent.
Mm.
I don't know if I probably would have said yes had I known there was going to be so much reflection and a reflection of myself and so much growth as a parent. I love it. But I will say, being an entrepreneur, starting your own business is very similar. So the encouragement is if you're already a mom, that is the harder mirror to look at. There is like maybe a smaller, less dense mirror as being an entrepreneur, but know that that reflection of like seeing yourself and all of like your shortcomings and struggles that will also show up too. And I think the thing that helps the most with that is finding a community, even if it's just one person to help hold you accountable and hold your hand and to say like me too on those days where you're struggling. I would have I for sure would have stopped a long time ago had I not found a sweet community of women that were able to be honest with me, but still held me gently and were super encouraging. So that's what I would say. Like, I think if you have, a dream in your heart to do something like that, I would say go for it and just find that community and I mean you are welcome. Anybody is welcome to reach out to me because not that I am an expert on this, but there are some things that I have learned, I'm sure as you have learned in your journey as well of doing this. And there's just a few foundational pieces that I think are important for all of us on the business side of things, but on the personal side of things, of just knowing those hard days are going to come up and then finding people to really support you through that. I think those are that's the best thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah, so a community does. That's a big one, and that was something that I was lacking. And it's funny, like a lot of people say that like business teaches you a lot about yourself, but I think even more so motherhood, that mirror. That's it's so true. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's what like moms are so resilient and so strong. So like if you are a mom, I know you can be successful at your business because you're already doing the hardest job in the world.
Right.
Like, it's but it's just as equally it's just a different angle perspective that you're looking in the mirror when you're doing your own business.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. Would you tell people where they can reach out to you? And do you do virtual consultations too, virtual organizing sessions? How does that work?
I do. I do. Yes. So I do in person here if you're in the Austin, Texas area, and then I do virtual as well. So no matter where you are in the world, I'm happy to work with you. I love that part. Well, I have a system to figure that part out because I know some people are like, how do you do virtual organizing? I was like, don't worry, I got you. I got you. But yeah, so if you want to reach out to me just to chat, just to say hi or work with me. So my website is melinakanecoaching.com. I'm on Instagram at Cultivate Your Legacy and also on LinkedIn as well at Melina Kane. So those are kind of the places I usually hang out.
Awesome. So thank you so much. And don't forget to download Melina's guide as well.
Yes. Oh, please do. Please do. And share with your friends.
Yeah, thank you so much, Melina. This was a pleasure. Thank you. I hope I can have you on again.
Thank you. Oh, this was so lovely. I always love having these conversations.
Awesome. Bye. Thank you.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
A lot of busy moms put their health on the back burner, and I know because I was one of them. There I was, a nutritionist who preached health and wellness before I had my baby, and then I had my son, and my world was flipped upside down. And during the first 6 months postpartum, the idea of just like working out and eating healthy and all of it, my whole life before just seemed like a distant dream. But as cliche as it sounds, it's so true when they say you can't pour from an empty cup. I remember one day it just dawned on me. I was just like, man, like I matter. I need to take care of myself. Like if I'm not well, then it's gonna reflect on everything. So I just decided, like in baby steps, just like I would work with my clients, I had to apply this to myself, start practicing what I preach. First of all, giving myself grace. Asking for help is a big one, and just starting creating healthy routines. Which brings me to my gift to you today. If any of that describes you, or maybe it doesn't, but you just want to prevent that overwhelm, burnout, then I highly encourage you to head over to my website. I'll have the link in the show notes and sign up for my free 8-week Mom Wellness Simplified Roadmap. Once a week, you'll receive a small wellness habit straight to your inbox designed specifically for busy moms. Each new habit will help you make a small but meaningful step towards reclaiming your vitality. So by the end of it, you'll have 8 easy to implement habits that fit seamlessly into your routine. Again, everything is tailored to fit into a hectic schedule because I believe that prioritizing your health shouldn't cause you more stress. I'm a full-time stay-at-home mom running a business on the side, so I make sure everything is achievable. And I know it'll be valuable to any mom out there who needs a bit of a restart, and it's free. So you can enroll now, the link will be in the show notes, and I'll see you there.